Good evening. Thank you to all of you who are here sharing your time with me. I know that time is a valuable resource, so I appreciate you giving of your time to be with me tonight, to listen to my words, and to share your thoughts with me. I would like to talk about how to encourage, motivate, and inspire students who attend low-performing schools and find themselves in underachieving environments. The challenges to help students reach their potential in this type of setting is not an easy task, especially in light of the many social and economic obstacles that these students face. What I want to offer you today is what has worked for me both personally and professionally. It is what I tell my students that I call my formula. Following the formula will result in getting the most out of life and getting as high on the socioeconomic ladder as possible. Before I get to that formula, however, let me first give you a little background about how I came to learn of this formula through my own life experiences. Long before my teaching career began over 30 years ago, my own personal and educational experiences were quite difficult. After immigrating to this country at age 14, my American childhood ranged from living with an abusive father to being on my own and homeless, to living in a rectory and ultimately living with a foster family. Those very important formative years taught me much about life and the key to survival. Those lessons I learned early on and that have continued to evolve are the keystone to that formula. In the interest of context, let me just highlight a few details of those formative years. Survival meant going to school and working a part-time job every day in order to pay for the tuition at the Catholic school which I attended. What little money was left over went to cover necessities. When I use the word cover, please do not infer that I had everything I wanted. There were plenty of days I did not eat. Although lunch was provided at school, that was only 5 days a week and only one meal a day. The remainder of those weekly meals were not always available to me. I had 2 changes of uniform for school, and any other clothing I had came from the generosity of a priest who mentored me, counseled me, and cared for me. Beyond my physical needs, my emotional needs were not always met. This was especially difficult as a teenager, as those years are not easy under the best of circumstances. I had no family, no home address, and no true friends. Another terribly important component of the teenage years. There was never anyone to help me navigate all the trials and tribulations I experienced during my young adult years. The lessons that came out of that time showed me that in spite of the existence of life's hardship and negativity, there were always ways to rise above it. Hence, the inception of the formula began. Fast forward to my adult years and the hardships and obstacles continue. I know I am not alone in that department, as life by definition is not easy. However, considering my 3 divorces, business failures, and financial ruin, I would say that I have been pushed to extreme limits. So what is it that has enabled me not only to survive, but to thrive? When I look back, I realize that the answer to that question can be broken into 3 parts, which when added together, create the formula. The first component I call establishing a goal or a vision. It is virtually impossible to move forward successfully without knowing where you want to go. Without a desired destination, one will be stagnant and just float through the days. We have all seen students who see no way out of their individual predicament and expect to live in the same condition as they are existing in the present. Perhaps no one has given them the opportunity or permission to dream. Perhaps they don't believe that things can change or that they even have the ability to do better. Therefore, they either show no effort or desire to succeed. That is where we as educators must step in to inspire. All things are possible for everyone. But the first step to success is determining what is it that you want. I use my own story to inspire my students on a daily basis. I relate to them my immigrant experience, my lack of knowledge of American ways, my lack of basics, my lack of resources, and my minority status. In spite of the cards being stacked against me, I knew that I needed to survive and be able to sustain a life of my own. During those early teenage years, I was not sure what I was going to do to create that life. But I knew that education was the key. I established the goal of academic excellence so I can get into a reputable college in order to pursue a more concrete goal once I determined where I wanted to fit in life. So for our struggling students, we must encourage their dreams, to let them know it is not only okay to aspire, but that it is necessary to do so in order to develop a roadmap to individual success. No matter what the goals are that we encourage our students to develop, they must understand that the second component of the formula is critical. Education is fundamental to success. Anything we achieve in life can be lost. Trust me, I know. Money, jobs, fames, even friends can be taken from us. Many of us believe that those tangible pleasures are what we strive for, and once we achieve them, we will always have them. Some of you, as I have already learned a lesson that nothing is guaranteed or safe in life. Everything earned or acquired can be lost. Everything, that is, except for one's education. Once you earn a degree, that is yours for a lifetime. Education not only becomes a permanent part of you, but it is the key to achieving the goal you have set for yourself. Learning the content or skills for a particular pursuit of course will make one more knowledgeable about it. The more one knows, the better one performs. The knowledge and skills one learns from his education allows for personal and professional growth. In addition to learning specific content through education, intangible skills are also acquired. Critical thinking, as well as verbal and written expression, are just two of the valuable skills one learns from their education. These skills are critical to any professional pursuit or career, as well as adult interaction on a social level. Education gives you knowledge, but just as importantly, it gives you options. I tell my students to think about what options they have to earn money if they drop out of high school. Then I tell them to think about what options they have if they go to vocational school or they learn a trade. What options would they have if they go to college? What options would they have if they went beyond college? The more education, the more options they have, as there are many more paths which they can pursue. Isn't it better to be the one who decides what it is you want to do in life, rather than having life tell you what it is that you can do? It was my college degree that enabled me to put my life back together when I left the United States for personal reasons and came back penniless. Without that degree, I would not have been able to regain a respectable job and rebuild my life. The importance of education cannot be overly stressed, even to young middle school students. When they see no relatability to algebra, to history, or to grammar, they need to understand that an educated mind opens possibilities for them and will allow them to pursue their goals, or even allow them to change their goals at a later time. The last component of the formula is what drives the other two parts: hard work and sacrifice. In today's world, many believe that they are either entitled to certain benefits or rewards, or that if they don't receive what they want, they give up. I adhere to the belief that if there is something you want, you work for it with no less than your all. My philosophy has always been that nothing will stop me from getting what it is that I want, except for my own lack of effort. If you set a goal and seek it out, how can you expect to get it without effort? Of course, it may not materialize at first, but if the importance of it is still there, then so should the effort. I am presently working towards a PhD and cannot tell you how many nights and weekends I have given up in order to complete assignments. But the importance of the goal is so great, I am willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to achieve that goal. I have seen numerous fellow students who have either dropped out of the program or they've deferred their progress in it. By reducing or eliminating the effort, the realization of the objective will not happen. I have seen firsthand and know wholeheartedly that the hard work and sacrifice is what pays off and allows one to reach their goal. I tell my students that I expect the same effort from them as I expect from myself. Anything less than 100% demonstrates a lack of importance in the task. The old adage that anything worth doing is worth doing well may be trite, but it is certainly true. Students need to understand the value of hard work and sacrifice and their relationship to success. There is definitely a relationship between the amount of effort put into a task and the amount of satisfaction received from its completion. One can be lazy and accept the result with minimal satisfaction. However, the task that takes great effort reap the greatest rewards. An analogy to demonstrate to the students would be to show them how hard athletes must work to achieve their level of performance. When we look at professional athletes, their abilities look flawless. They must remember that there are years and years of training and practice that underlie their ability to reach the level of expertise that they have attained. Likewise, students must remember to put in the effort now in order to make their goals materialize later. As I reflect back on my own personal experiences, I realize how the formula came into play in many situations. Although I may not have known it consciously, as I look back, these three components together have helped bolster my achievements and lead me to greater success. For example, after working so diligently in high school to achieve academic success, I was granted admission to a nationally ranked university. Here I was, an immigrant to this country with no family support or guidance, and not understanding what it would mean to undertake the commitment to pursue a degree in higher education. Yes, I understood the importance of education and understood the doors that it would open for me and the value of obtaining a bachelor's degree. But I did not understand what that experience would entail. When I arrived on campus, I was alone physically and emotionally and entered uncharted territory. Nonetheless, I set my goal, understood the value of this academic experience, and committed myself to hard work. Between the many hours of study time, the many hours of work time at a job to help pay for my tuition, and the motivation to learn how to navigate so many unfamiliar experiences, I applied this formula to ultimately achieve success and graduate with a double major. Similarly, I applied the formula after my world crash when my wife took my children and left. I had just began the PhD program with a few classes under my belt. When I lost my family, nothing else seemed to matter. I had enough trouble getting out of bed and going to work every day, let alone work on an advanced academic level to pursue a PhD. After a semester went by, I thought about this formula and realized the combination of components that were necessary to raise me up and bring me to a place of achievement. I set my goal, actually reset it, as I had previously made the commitment to pursue this degree. I recommitted myself knowing the value of this level of education and finally focused my energy back into the work that I knew was required to reach my goal. I stand here today, actually I sit here today, close to completion of this goal, only as a result of applying the formula. No one of these three components of the formula can be considered to be more important than the other two, as all three are necessary to achieve success. All three components should be values we teach our students in order for them to reach their individual potential. I am passionate about this formula, as I know it has not only helped propel me to rise above the walls I have hit in my lifetime, but it has helped me to inspire my students to rise above theirs. I am so passionate about inspiring others and relaying the value of that formula, I have written a book that details more of the many trials I have faced throughout my life. And now I have used the formula to overcome them and get to the point where I am presently, one of success and happiness. I appreciate your listening to my words today and hope that I have been able to encourage your own students to be their best. When everyone does his best and can reach his potential, not only does everyone benefit individually, but society does as well. Thank you, and at this time, I will be happy to take questions. And question number one.
Rob, can you tell us why you became a teacher?
Quite honestly, teaching is not what I originally thought I wanted to do. I wanted to become an attorney. I was, however, dissuaded from that career choice by someone I greatly admired and who knew me well. The decision came after I moved to Florida and began substitute teaching. It was then that I immediately knew I had found my calling. Something inside of me felt as though this is where I belong, and this was my passion in life. Thank you. Question number two.
Rob, based on your many years of education, what do you find to be the greatest challenge in educating students?
Sadly, a lack of parental involvement, especially for minority and disadvantaged students. This pandemic has only served to exacerbate the problem and further show the economic disadvantages that our students face and the systemic failure of education, sadly, here in the United States. Question number three.
Rob, based on your negative experiences that you've endured both in your youth and adult years, how did you continue on a path of pursuing positive goals as others under similar circumstances might have chosen otherwise?
As I have always been a person of deep faith, I suppose being mentored by a Catholic priest carried me through the most difficult times. I never believed that my worst circumstances defined who I was as a person. I truly believe that God has ordered my steps, and ultimately, His purpose for creating me would be realized, and that those experiences shaped me and prepared me for where I am. It was all a part of His plan in preparing me for the purpose which I now serve. Question number four.
Rob, how do you inspire your students to be successful in life?
Look around you, look at this audience. Most of us here are all educators. We all have that gift I spoke of earlier. I wouldn't be where I am today if I wasn't inspired by Dr. Markarian in my graduate studies. And I would not be where I am in this process if not for the encouragement, support, and belief in me that Dr. Heck has shown. This is the gift that I speak of. Use the gift that you all possess with your own students. The gift grows exponentially the more you share it. Regardless of what is happening around you, your responsibility as a teacher is to give your all to make our students better. They are our future. Question number five.
Rob, do you regret any of the experiences in your life?
No, without a doubt, I have had many painful experiences, but I truly believe they were necessary for the preparation and the purpose for which God has created me.